Good evening, ladies, and welcome to the Single Mom Support Group live on YouTube and Facebook. I am very excited to be here tonight, closing out what we've been doing for dealing with disappointment. I hope you guys are taking yourself, drinking plenty of water and fluids and stuff, and staying warm if you're in cold areas, and staying cool if you're in warm areas. It's a little bit cold here, hence, the jacket I'm wearing. I wanted to wear like my warm, comfy bathrobe, and I was like, you know what? Don't, because it's bright. It's got rainbow hearts. It's gorgeous. You would have loved it, but I just thought better about that. But we're wrapping this up. Actually, last week we closed off with erase and replace, and we talked about erasing was forgiveness, and then we talked about a short bit of replacing. At the end of that video, we're replacing negative words, negative talk, negative thinking, things like that. So what we're doing tonight, because replace flows so well into part number 3 of dealing with disappointment, which is reconcile and resist. That's why I had it such a short section there, because it's going to be explained better as we get more into it. So notes. And let's define it. I had to call up my friend Merriam-Webster, just to define a couple of things. We're talking about reconciling. We've done all this forgiving. And just to recap, we were dealing with disappointment with 3 steps: acknowledge and affirm, erase and replace. And now we're dealing with reconcile and resist. Acknowledge and affirm helped us to have that mirror that helped us to look at the situation and look at what is really going on. And again, that mirror is only going to show you what's out of place, what things look like, where things need to be fixed, but it won't give you the solution to fix it. But that was acknowledge and affirm. We're looking at the situation, we're looking at the issue, we're validating that, hey, this thing happened to me and it made me feel this way. And so acknowledge and affirm did just that. And we had a nice little list of maybe it was just one person that had disappointed you, or just one person that you had to deal with that, or you had a list as thoughts and things and names came to your remembrance. You wrote all those things down. This was the incident. This is what happened. This is how it made me feel. Then with part number 2, we did erase and replace. Erase was all about forgiveness, all about letting go of baggage, yours and baggage that you're holding on for someone else's offense to you, or baggage that you're holding on because you offended, or baggage that you're holding on because you're disappointed with God. So we talked about all of that. We erased all of that. The culmination was the prayers for forgiving others, and then the prayer for forgiving yourself. So that was all erase and replace. And I'm making it a short summary, but we know it lasted for like 3 or 4 weeks, that whole section. And I didn't know it was going to last that long. So that was cool to me. And so finally, this section, we're doing section number 3, reconcile and resist. We've done erase and replace so long, I thought I was still there. But reconcile and resist. So let's define reconcile, okay? To reconcile something means to restore to friendship or harmony, to settle or resolve. And, my friend Miriam, she helped me find these words and find the right meanings for them. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about: restoring to friendship or harmony, and what that looks like. And then resist means to withstand the action or effect of something. So first of all, how do we reconcile forgiving someone? How do you come to terms? How do you restore to friendship or harmony, or at least settle and resolve the issue? You were offended, you were disappointed, you were hurt, you were damaged by somebody. And now you've forgiven them, you've put it behind you. So, what does that look like as we practically, apply this? What should that look like for us? And we talked a little bit about that again last week with replacing those negative thoughts, replacing those things. This is what it's going to look like. I made some notes, and then I'm going to share something with you that was just straight from the Lord. I got it. Oh, did I get it? I got it this morning. I just woke up and it was in there, and I started writing. So I'm going to share that with you in just a few minutes. But what does it look like to reconcile, forgiving someone? You've done the hard part. You've taken that step of faith, or you set your heart with intention to forgive them, or you've looked at the situation and said, you know what, I can forgive them because I would want that for me, because I have done that and that's what I wanted. Whatever it was, whatever those reasons were that you forgave, this is how this walks out now. Number one, you're going to rejoice that you're free, right? I'm not holding these bags anymore. I'm not holding on to this stuff. And that should have been like last week. You should have been able to just, oh my God, it's a burden lifter. It's the load has been lifted. And so that's what it should feel like. And if you're still feeling heavy, if you're still feeling like, maybe start going back, start with acknowledge and affirm again, and look at, okay, so why is it that I'm not? Was there something else? And you know what? Ask God too, because God is faithful. Or it could be something that I'm getting ready to touch on right now. So let's just pause for a minute before you do that and assume that it didn't work, because it did. Okay. So breathing. Declaring that you're free. I'm so thankful that I'm free. Again, all of this stuff is faith stuff. You just got to believe it. For people that are not people of faith, I'm going to say this is positive affirmation. Okay. So you're agreeing with the positive instead of agreeing with the negative. That's all this boils down to. For those of you who are people of faith, we walk by faith and not by sight. So we say it, we know that life and death is in the power of the tongue. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But we know that what we say is what we have. And so if I've chosen to forgive, then that's what I have. Whether I feel like it or not, I have forgiven. So I'm going to do that. I choose to live in that. So that was number one. Breathe, be clear. You're free. The baggage, the bags have been dropped, and you're now free to go forward. So yay, good for you. Good for me. Okay. Number two, you can contact the person or not. Okay. And I, again, and how it is that we reconcile forgiving someone. If the person, I'm going to make just these couple of stipulations. And again, everything I'm saying, take it or don't take it. I believe that it will help you if you take it. But if you choose not to, okay. I'm not trying to reach the whole world. I'm not trying to, convert anybody. I'm just trying to help. And so if the person that you have forgiven asked for forgiveness and you withheld it at the point that they asked, I would say contact them. Let them know, hey, that issue we had, that issue you asked me to forgive you about, this issue, and state the issue, because that just reaffirms your freedom. As you said, when this happened, when you did this and I got mad because it made me feel like this situation right here, what I'm talking about, where you asked me for forgiveness, I just want to let you know I absolutely forgive you. I find no fault with you. I'm not holding anything against you for that situation. Okay. That person may be relieved, or they'll be like, whatever, I moved on, whatever their response is. If they've asked and you choose to contact them and let them know, now you have that open dialogue. However, I would not contact a person that I had to forgive for something they did that I had to deal with the disappointment of it or the hurt or the offense of it. I would not contact them if they never reached out to ask for forgiveness. Um, Reason being because they don't realize that they haven't acknowledged that they did anything wrong, that they were at fault for anything. So how are you going to forgive me? I didn't do anything. Yeah, that's going to cause a little bit of a conflict because number one, you got that attitude, right? You heard how I said it. Well, you forgive me? I didn't do anything. Okay. And then all you're going to do is say, you're going to be like, well, yeah, you remember when this happened and this happened and this happened. But yeah, man, that was nothing. They're still under the perception that it was nothing, that it didn't hurt you, that you should not have been offended. That is the reason why I'm saying don't contact them. If they haven't reached out to you and said, hey, I think that was wrong or, anything like that, I would avoid. I would just forgive them and be free of it. So that's why I say number 2 is you can contact them or not. You might be opening a can of worms or something if you contact someone who did not reach out and ask for forgiveness for offending you or feel like they offended you in the first place. It's okay if they don't apologize. Apologies are usually for the person that's giving the apology to make them feel better. A more mature person is going to recognize at times that an apology is needed for the person that's been offended, even if they don't feel like they've offended anyone. So that looks a little different. I'm going to apologize for something if I see that it hurts you. Now, I didn't mean to hurt you. I apologize for hurting you. I'm not apologizing for what I did because what I did might have been the proper action, the correct action, of course, to take, but it hurt you. Now, even though what I did was right, the effect that it had was an effect that I did not intend. That's what I mean by a more mature person is going to see that sometimes an apology is needed, even if they don't believe that they're in the wrong or if they know that they're not wrong. But when you're dealing with somebody who has done wrong and is just doesn't care, then, why engage in that conversation again, especially when you've just forgiven them? Just forgive them. Let it go and be free. So that was number 2. And this rolls right into number 3. Behave like you are free. Okay? You've forgiven, you've let go. You don't have any issues with anybody, clean slate. Behave like you're free. So what I wrote here is actions of faith to produce the freedom of walking in forgiveness. Okay, so I am going to do things that for a while I had not done because I didn't want to be in a situation with that person. I'm going to go to this coffee shop because I loved the coffee. But, me and so-and-so had a falling out and that was our place. That was our shop. And so I stopped going. I'm going back because I love that coffee. Now, I'm not a coffee drinker. That's just an example. But I mean, if you've avoided doing things that you enjoy, if you've avoided hanging out with people that you enjoy hanging out with because there was one other person that you had that issue with that was the common denominator, go hang out with them and don't talk bad about the person that offended you or disappointed you or hurt you. You're going to walk like you're free because you are free. You're not holding any grudges. You know what? And that's what you can say if somebody brings it up. Oh, I'm not holding any grudges about that. Oh, I've forgiven that. Oh, I don't find any fault with that. So actions of faith. You're behaving like you're free. That means you're taking actions of faith that produce the freedom of walking in forgiveness. And this is really important. Treat the people you have forgiven like you have forgiven them. Right? That is so important. If I've forgiven you, then every time I see you, I'm not going to treat you like you're about to stab me in the back again. I'm not going to treat you like you're about to try to help me cross the street and then leave me with oncoming traffic. You know, I'm not going to treat you like you're still the offender, the aggressor, the attacker, the person that hurt me. Because I've wiped the slate clean inside of myself, that means your slate is clean too. It That's just what it means. I find no fault with you any longer. I've forgiven you. It's done. I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to talk about it. If you want to talk about it, okay, let's talk about it. So you say what you want to say, and then I'll say, I've already forgiven that. I don't find any fault with you for that. I'm not holding anything against you for that. Those are my comments because I've forgiven you. Remember what I said? There are those two things that you can give someone that they have no defense against. One is love. The other is forgiveness. There's another one too. That's a smile. You can smile at somebody if they don't have any defense against that either. But love and forgiveness. So, if somebody wants to talk about, okay, but I've already forgiven that. And even if they're one of those people that feel like they need to be acknowledged or what they did, what I'm trying to get you to see is you notice that I'm saying the word, I've already forgiven that, because there is no conflict between you and the person any longer. There was only the action that needed to be forgiven. So you're allowing that person to know there's nothing between us. That action is water under the bridge. It's swept away. So I've forgiven that. There's nothing holding back between me and you. We are good. I've already forgiven that. What's next on the agenda? You completely throw somebody off balance when you come at them with that love and forgiveness. It disarms them. That's the word I'm hearing. It's disarming, because they could be like, hey, we need to talk about this. And they've got their defenses up. But when you come at them like that, it's completely disarming. Well, what do you mean? I mean, I've forgiven that. So what do you want me? You don't have to do anything. I've forgiven that. There's no issue between me and you. And you're going to treat them like there is no issue between the two of you. That is probably going to be one of the hardest things, because your brain is going to try to get you to remember. Okay, resist the urge to treat that person as if they are still an aggressor. Your brain is going to try to get you to remember. And so that moves on to my notes that I wrote this morning. It is so good. So I'm just going to read it like it was given to me. The thing about forgiveness is it's not a one-time thing. Whether it's you forgiving yourself or you forgiving someone else, it's not a one-time action. Okay, you're saying it by faith to that person. If they insist on talking about it and you have to, I've forgiven that. There's nothing between you and I. There's no issue. There's no conflict between the two of us. You're stating that, and sometimes you have to state it by faith. But I mentioned to you before that your thoughts and your emotions, they will try to betray you. I talked about that last week. They will work against you. They will try to convince you that you really didn't forgive, or that you aren't really forgiven. and this is how they're going to do it. It's going to do it by reasserting those thoughts to make you remember the offense, whether it's an offense that you did or an offense that was caused by the person that disappointed you. It's going to try to get you to remember that offense, rehash. They'll try to rehash the emotions associated with the disappointment you forgave by causing you to feel those same feelings of hurt and offense. So the thoughts will come, then the emotions will come behind it. That's what I'm saying. And that's how your mind betrays you. That's how your mind is trying to convince you that you haven't really done this, that you haven't really forgiven, that you're still angry and upset. And that's where you need to stay. Because the thoughts will try to reassert themselves, and then the emotions will try to reestablish themselves as well, based on the thoughts that you're thinking. You have to intentionally and actively stand and fight against those thoughts and emotions in order to keep moving forward. Depending on how long you stayed in the offense, those thoughts and emotions will try to come back over and over. So if this was years long, those thoughts and those emotions are going to try to come back again and again and again. And you're going to have to intentionally and actively resist those things again and again and again. You've reconciled the situation. Now you have to resist those thoughts. And here's why. And I even wrote it. This may sound crazy, but the reason that these things will come back and try to reassert themselves is because for however long you stayed in that state, that became your natural state. That state became your normal. When we think on things a certain way, we create pathways in our brain. We create routes and connections that connect to feelings and things like that in our brain. We reshape our brain. If you're not familiar with Dr. Caroline Leaf and her studies on the brain and all of that, look her up. This is what I'm talking about. However long you stayed in that state, that became your natural state, your normal. You've shaped your thoughts, your thought life, and your emotional attachments by living in that state for so long, thinking that way for so long, that your brain is just trying to get you back to your normal. So again, your brain is, I'm going to keep reading because I explain it here. I'm not going to try and side explain it. Your brain is not angry with you or against you per se. Your brain is trying to reject the new information or the new way that you are choosing to live. Okay? Because for you, it's not normal. Okay? Your brain is trying to get you back to functioning in your normal. And for you to forgive and let it go and be free and to breathe and have peace, that's not your normal. Your brain is reasserting these thoughts, reestablishing these emotions, reasserting these thoughts, which reestablish these emotions to get you back into that flow of your normal. It's trying to resist the new input, the new data that you've just put. I've forgiven it. I'm finished with this. Your brain is going, no, because we've lived this way for so long. This is how we live. So you cannot do that because this is what we do. That's what your brain is trying to do. You have trained your brain, and it is just doing what it is trained to do in order to keep you in the state in which you are accustomed to surviving. You are in a certain type of survival mode. I can't stand that word. When I hear people say, well, I'm surviving, that means that you have reconciled to taking less than what life has to offer you. You have reconciled, not the good way. You have settled for something less than the best for you. And so when your brain is trying to reassert those thoughts, to cause those emotions to come and reestablish those emotions, that is so that you will go from I've forgiven, this is the high road, back to I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed, because you have functioned in that for so long. It doesn't know how to function in freedom. It knows how to function in hardship, in turmoil, in pain, in disarray. You've been functioning in pain. I want to say you're a wounded warrior. You've been fighting this fight and you're damaged and battle worn. But your brain has reconciled that this is how we fight. So when you're presenting a new way of doing it, your brain is saying, I don't know how to do that. This is how we do it. So again, your brain is not angry with you. Your brain is not trying to do anything out of the ordinary. It's doing what it was trained to do. Okay. Let me give you an example. I wrote this one down too. It's like if someone was in extreme poverty and they didn't have a lot to eat. So they have 3 crackers for breakfast, when they go out and do what they do in their day, 3 crackers for lunch, and manage the rest of the day. They're in a state of starvation constantly, but their body has learned how to function in that state. And then they have like a sandwich for dinner, a peanut butter sandwich or a bologna sandwich or whatever for dinner. That's it. When someone presents them with a regular meal or a regular lunch, or hey, if you're working here, you get breakfast, lunch, and dinner all for free, they can't just pull up to the table day one and be like, woo, I want all of this. I mean, they can. They say, I want all of this. I want everything. But it's going to make them sick. If they eat the entire smorgasbord of whatever it is that they get to eat now, they're immediately going to get sick or throw up or whatever, because their body is not used to that intake. So they have to gradually reintroduce more and more food. I'm going to eat my crackers, but I'm also going to eat a piece of chicken. Or I'm going to eat my crackers, I'm going to eat a piece of chicken, I'm going to eat some vegetables. I'm going to do this. They have to do it and build in parts so that their body won't reject it, immediately like that. Their body will gradually see. It's like you're breaking down the defenses of your body. If you've been in starvation mode, your body's been in starvation mode. Basically, your body's been kind of feeding off of itself for nourishment and whatever little stuff you can put in it. Your body's using that. So to have now more substance, more food, your body wants all of it. Yeah, you want to eat it, but it's not going to be able to process it because it's been so long functioning that way. That's the same way it is here. You've got to intentionally and actively resist those thoughts as they come. No, I don't live that way anymore. I've forgiven them. Those thoughts are going to say, no, but this is why we're angry with them. This is why we don't like them. This is why we do this. This is why we don't go to the coffee shop. This is why we don't hang out with so-and-so, because this, and this is the way that we go. And your brain thinks it's absolutely logical, and for your brain it is. But for your new life and for where you're going, it's no longer logical, nor is it feasible. It does not work for you. You have forgiven. You find no fault. There is no conflict between you and that person, and you have forgiven that action. And so now, when you see that person, you can give a genuine smile. You're not going to go into fight or flight. You're going to be calm. Hey, Margie, how's it going? Hey, Susie, how are you doing today? And you're going to listen. Oh, that's awesome. And you're going to share, share as much as you want. No, me and the kids did this and that. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to share. Trust does have to be earned still, when trust is broken. And I think I said that. Love, we give freely. God says, love one another. We do that. But trust has to be earned. So, yeah, you're in a relationship with them, but you, like I said before, you want the relationship, but there's boundaries that need to be set up. And so you do it. So you're actively resisting those thoughts intentionally, and you're behaving as if you find no fault with that person and that they've done anything wrong. And your brain is going to bring it up because your brain is trained to do that. And your emotions are going to follow along because as your brain is trained, the emotions are like the little kids that follow the mama, and that's what they do. But you're going to have to say, no, that's not how I feel. These things that you're trying to put on me are not accurate according to the freedom that I'm walking in. So we're not going to walk that way. We're going to walk in freedom. So I'm going to leave you with that because my 30 minutes, and I've actually got to go post this on Facebook right now before it gets too late. So I love you, ladies. We're going to wrap up Reconcile and Resist next week because I want at least 2. So we're going to wrap that up with some, just forgiving actions. We probably did that. I'll wrap it up anyway. I'll have a good closing for you, and we'll just go from there. But I'm so glad that you were here with me. Do something fun for the weekend. Enjoy yourself. Have a great time. I'm trying to get to the movies to see Creed 2. Still haven't done it. And then there's all these other movies coming out like Aquaman and Bumblebee movie. I'm an action movie buff. So I love you, ladies. Do something fun. There's good stuff on Netflix and Amazon Prime too. So busy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Have a great time. And I'm going to end this stream. And I believe and hope that you will join me here next week. I hope this is beneficial for you. I hope this is just valuable information that you can use and apply. I don't want you to just use it or just hear it. You want to be able to apply it. So, like I said before, number one, these videos are not all encompassing. There's some good stuff out there to help you overcome the offenses and the hurt and the disappointments that you've dealt with. And number two, I'm not trying to reach everybody. I'm just trying to reach you. And I hope I did that tonight. So I love you guys. I will see you next. I think next Friday, there will be another video. I won't be in it, but it might be my pastor. We'll see. I might do that next Friday or the Friday following. Wherever Christmas is coming, that's like a week off. So I know that one of these videos will not be me. It'll actually be my pastor. So either way, he's still talking about hurt. It's still going to be good, and overcoming hurt. It's really, really good. So I love you, ladies. I will see you I'll see you next Friday or a couple of Fridays. Have a good night. Bye-bye.